Welcome back to the vlog. Today is Monday, and I am saying right at the beginning, I don't even know who I am this week. After what feels like weeks of pretty mundane weeks, not a lot going on, same old, work, wash, rinse, repeat. I kind of have a lot going on this week. Tonight, I am hosting a craft night. You remember a few weeks ago, I hosted the Valentine's craft night and it was so much fun. And I said, I want to host a craft night, but instead of it being like orchestrated crafts, it's kind of like a bring your own. Well, that's what I'm hosting tonight. I have 3 of my crafty friends coming and it is a bring your own craft situation. The menu for craft night tonight is a sandwich bar. So I have some really great bread, salted French butter on one side of the bread and put them down in a pan so that one side is grilled. I made a batch of pickled cabbage yesterday. I made some roasted kale and arugula basil pesto, oven roasted deli turkey, some ham, a couple of cheeses. I'm gonna chop up some pepperoncini. I have pickles. Oh, I'm gonna make like an arugula salad topping. I'm picturing like sandwich. Ever since I got my braces off, one of the things that I really missed when I had my braces on was eating really big sandwiches and being able to just like bite into them. I couldn't do it. My teeth didn't work. The bite wouldn't connect. Not to mention biting into a sandwich with braces. It's like, I mean, forget it. I would eat sandwiches with a fork and knife. So tonight, cannot wait to fully bite into a beautiful big sandwich. So I think that's gonna be fun. And that's today. So Monday night, craft night. Tuesday night, I'm going over to a friend's house for dinner. Wednesday, I don't think I have anything Wednesday. And then Thursday, I get to go to dinner again. Rachel's best friend is in town from Michigan, and the 3 of us are gonna go to dinner Thursday night. And then Friday and Saturday, I don't have anything. So it just feels like a lot of social interaction. I'm really excited about it. I spent the weekend binging and watching, getting fully caught up on the JFK, Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, A Love Story show. I love it. I think it's so well done. It's such an interesting story. I remember her. Like, I am old enough to remember her as like a thing out in the cultural universe, from magazines, obviously, because we didn't have social media. I think there's something interesting emerging. There's obviously this big response to the series because everything late 90s is kind of like back in vogue. So people are really inspired by her style and all this stuff. And what's interesting, that doesn't surprise me. I am not surprised that this show is in the cultural conversation around that time period. But what is so funny to me is there are these like 2 camps of girls. The girls that will tell you how to replicate CBK's style, and then the girls who tell those girls that they're missing the point and they're getting it wrong and she would have never been this and that. And I'm like, guys, how do you know? Yes, it's easy to tell me how to replicate the style of someone because we have pictures of her from the 90s. You have no idea what she would do today. And it's just a funny like discourse back and forth to see people so vehemently defend whether or not people are, emulating her correctly or not. And that just, come on guys, get a hobby. Come to craft night, let it go. And then the last thing that I just kind of wanted to talk through maybe over the course of this week is this reality in my life of these layering and building workflows. Feels like this. And I think that's all I'm going to say about it right now, but I want to circle back at some point. I'm kind of saying this to remind myself. I want to circle back and talk about how I approach workflows, not only in my literal work life, but I apply this concept to other things like hosting or holidays or whatever. And so there's a skill set that I have learned that allows me to keep certain things sustainable that seem like they would require a lot of work. And they do require a lot of work, but I've figured out how to like assimilate them. So let's talk about that, not today. And now I'm going to go finish up my task list for Monday, then start setting up for craft night and dive into this week. Here we go. Craft night was just a delight. I want to briefly process some things from last night. This was Bring Your Own Craft, or BYOC as we called it. Someone brought watercolors. 2 people brought stitching, but different kind of stitching. 1 person brought kind of a ironing sewing project. My daughter Bedazzled, her friend did this little, I can't remember what it's called, but like color by number with little jewels. The craft part was excellent. I would say that we talked more than we crafted, although multiple people kind of like made excellent progress on their crafts. So it's not like we weren't crafting, but there was just more conversation. The hit of the night, if I do say so myself, was the menu. That sandwich was insanely good. I ate the whole thing, woke up this morning, still full from dinner. Such an excellent menu. It was so fun. It was hands-on. It was like kind of crafting your dinner and really, really delicious. That was the hit of the evening. And then I did make Alison Roman's salty lemon cream pie. Chef's kiss. So good. All in all, it was a hit. Again, the size of the group was everything. We could all fit here in my living room. There was only one conversation circle. The conversation was excellent. It was hilarious. It was great. A very connective, hands-on evening. And I want to show you my little craft that I did. So another creator that I follow on TikTok has been doing a lot of tutorials on how to make your own little books. And so I watched his video and in like 10 minutes did this book. And it's just like pages that I cut, and then he tells you how many holes to punch, and I had to get an awl, and then he tells you the order in which to stitch, so it's bound with this like special thread or whatever. And then this is what it looks like. It just looks so like professional. So I whipped together this little book. I was really excited by how easy this was and how cute it turned out. And I think this would make a really great gift, or I've got some other ideas for it. So I did this and then just sat down and talked the rest of the evening. Oh, I forgot to mention I'm 100% wearing my retainer today. I just got back from the orthodontist, and I don't think I've been wearing it enough during the day, and I have to wear it a lot for the next 3 months. Chipping away at my work for today. And then I'm going over to a friend's house for dinner tonight and looking forward to that. I don't know that I'll be able to film any of that, but that's what I'm doing. I need to go get some coffee from the grocery store because we're out of coffee, and I keep saying it out loud to myself because I don't want to get to the coffee maker tonight when I prep the coffee and realize that I forgot to get coffee. So I'm going to get coffee. I'm going to get coffee. I'm going to get coffee. And then I think that's my Tuesday. Wearing soft clothes because I was up too late, eating too much sandwich and having too much fun crafting while drinking champagne. Soft clothes it is. Sitting on my front porch steps after dinner. Everyone was here for dinner, and then like clockwork, they all scattered. We had 2 friends, like 3 groups. Everybody ate and run and then left me with the dishes. That's not very nice. So I'm sitting out here on my front porch because it's still light outside. It's actually kind of cool out here, cooler than I thought. Wanted to just say a few things that I'm observing this week. I find myself falling into this pattern, and maybe I just need to accept it and stop kind of like thinking of it as a one-off. For whatever reason, given the rhythm of my weeks, Wednesday is always this day where I am like, I'm fine, but it's like I want to hibernate on Wednesdays. I wear my most comfortable clothes. I don't wear makeup. I rarely schedule any sort of like meeting or appointment or anything. I catch up on a lot of writing and editing on Wednesday, hence the comfortable clothes and all that. But I can tell it's like I've gotten used to that, and I wake up on Wednesdays, and normally I wake up and I'm like, I'm ready to like sparkle and shine and do all the things and go and be and whatever. And on Wednesdays I wake up and I'm like, no noise, no sound, don't look at me. It's just this weird like slumping down on Wednesday, and then I'm fine on Thursday. I keep thinking like, wow, this is so weird, and it's like, no, This is literally every Wednesday. Pay attention. I was so grateful because on Sunday when I was doing all my cooking, I made a meal. I made chicken cacciatore. Ended up being tonight's dinner, and it was just waiting in the fridge. It was the best feeling in the world to open and be like, yes, everyone come home for dinner. I've got this beautiful pot of stew just bubbling on the stove. Love that. I love making something ahead and then pulling it out days later when you need it. It also tasted better after sitting for a few days. Okay, so we are midweek. The second episode of Can You Come Home went live yesterday. It was much easier. Me and my naked to the world face are going to go inside and do the dishes, clean the kitchen for the third time today, do my little closing shift things like prep the coffee and take out the trash. And then I think I'm gonna watch some mindless TV. And last but not least, on this beautiful spring evening, my roses are budding again. I have not seen them bud in 6 months, and I was really worried they weren't going to make it through the winter because it was cold this winter. There's one that's fully bloomed, and then there are like 6 or 8 little buds that are about to come out. I'm not a plant person, so this really is remarkable that I have had this rose plant for 2 years and she's still going. I'm really proud of her. You're doing a great job. We talk to our plants around here. That's the kind of house we are. We talk to our plants. You're doing so great. Petals look amazing. Keep up the good work, girls. They like it when you talk to them. Don't be afraid to talk to your plants. It doesn't make you weird. It makes you really cool. I just finished recording another episode of Can You Come Home? I did not record with my retainer in, but I did pop it back in. I really am trying to wear it all the time because I can tell I need to. But I wanted to show you kind of behind the scenes of what it looks like, my recording studio. First of all, there's no one else doing this with me. I'm doing it all by myself. And second of all, I sit in front of this big picture window, and it has to be a sunny day, and it has to be this certain time of day. So depending on the season and where we are with like daylight savings and all that, the optimal recording time, somewhere between 11 at the earliest and 2 at the latest. And before then or after then, the light totally changes. So I really try to make sure it's a sunny day and then to make sure I do it during that time. That's my lighting setup, this beautiful window, and the ball of fire in the sky that we call the sun. Those are my lights. This is the chair that I sit in. Every week I have to like move it and make sure and look at old episodes to make sure like it's exactly where the other ones were as it relates to like the bar cart and the mirror and the table. And I try and like look at other episodes and then line it up. And then this is my tripod that I use. And this is my favorite detail. After I recorded and set up the first episode, I came in with a Sharpie and marked on the tripod where the different telescopic levels were so that when I go to set it up again, it's at exactly the same height. That is trickier than you would think. I always write the episode before I record it. So there's a blog post that goes with every episode. I write the episode first. I give it to Rachel to edit. She edits it, comes back to me. If there's any changes, we make them. But I always start with the writing because I want to make sure that the story lays out the way that we think it should, that the details are there, and writing something kind of like cements it in my brain. So when I go to talk about it, I'm using the writing as the framework for what I'm sharing. I don't go into as much detail in the video as I do in the blog post, but it definitely is like the outline that I follow. So I print out, here, let me just grab them. So I print out my copy of the blog post and I make notes and I underline kind of like, make sure I cover this, make sure I say that. And it kind of gives me a framework for the episode. So I'm not just sitting in front of a camera and trying to remember everything because I can't do that. The Can You Come Home episodes are not like a vlog. It's not just stream of consciousness. It's not casual conversation. There's definitely like plot points and details that I want to cover because we're intentionally mapping out this storyline. Plus, because of the nature of what I'm talking about in that, I want it to be very, very intentional. I want to be careful. I want to not just talk off the cuff. I want it to be very orchestrated. And today I only recorded one episode. I typically try to record two, but because of details that don't matter, I'm only doing one this week. Check that off my list. It's time for a nice coffee. We did it. Sitting here at my dining room table on late Friday afternoon, technically probably Friday evening. Yeah, it's 6:20 Friday night. I don't want to say I'm a bad vlogger. It's just that I want to record things when I'm out and about in my real life, and then it becomes wholly apparent that that is not a cool thing to do for one reason or another. So, for example, last night I went to this dinner with Rachel and her best friend. It was awesome, and I thought that I would film stuff from it to put on here, and I was like, no, I'm not getting my phone out. It's like my values sort of realign, and I remember no, I'm not gonna do that. I did go to dinner. It was super fun, and the point that I wanted to make here was I wore heels. Those heels that I've been training in, I wore them to dinner. It was okay because all I had to do was walk from my car to the front door of the restaurant, to my table, and then back into my car. I'm getting better. I'm getting stronger and stronger every day. I know you're so proud of me. The thing that I wanted to talk about that I haven't talked about this week that I really wanted to, and now it feels like too much for a Friday afternoon, but I'm gonna do it anyway because I told you that I would, is that workflow situation. But before I do, I really wish I could show you everything that I am looking at right now that you can't see. This is such a teaser because I just finished a meeting, a strategy meeting about the rollout of the second phase of work that is coming in the beginning of April. Yeah, April. We're in March right now. Yeah, the beginning of April. The product is going to be ready on this date. Back it up. What do I need to say when? How do we tease it? How do we promote it? How do we get people interested in it? What do I show? What do I not show? What do I give away? Should we do a countdown? Blah, 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 blah. All the fun details. I'm looking at actual pieces of the work, printouts of the work. And then over here, I'm looking at a bunch of calendar pages with strategy steps glued to them. It's going to be so exciting. It's going to be here sooner than you think. I will start talking about this in 2 weeks. I cannot wait. Okay, so the workflow thing. There's a category of task that is constant and recurring and foundational. Think of this like the stuff that you have to do every day, whether you have something or not. This is going to change for everyone, but there's a set of tasks that you have to do every day on kind of a foundational, recurring basis. Those are the things that no matter what's going on, you're going to need or want to do them. Move your body. It could be make your bed. It could be cook yourself breakfast, make coffee, take out the trash, stuff that needs to get done. Okay, so we get in this rhythm of doing those daily foundational things. Then we layer on other roles and responsibilities as certain situations call for it. Let's say, for example, that you work out at the gym every day from 4:30 to 5:30, and that is part of your daily rhythm and routine. Fantastic. And then there's a week where you are hosting a dinner party that's set to begin at 6 on a Wednesday. Okay, on the Wednesday of the dinner party, you are not going to go to the gym from 4:30 to 5:30 because you have people coming over to eat dinner at your house at 6. So kind of as a one-off, because you don't always host a dinner party, that day you are not going to go do that thing that you normally do. But then on Thursday, you're going to jump back into it. Great. That's what happens when these one-off kind of events enter into the regular rhythm of our habits. However, and just stay with me, I know this is ridiculous. If for some reason you had to host a dinner party every day at 6 o'clock, you would no longer expect to be able to go to the gym from 4:30 to 5:30 every day. That's not sustainable. Either you would work out and be woefully unready for your dinner party, or you would host the dinner parties and be prepared but never work out. So probably what you would do is you would take your workout and you would move it to another time. Or you would politely decline and say, I cannot host a dinner party 4 times a week. But you would shift things so that both priorities could exist in a sustainable way. Okay, that's what happens with workflows. If something is an ongoing, normal part of your everyday or every week life, it has to fit into the construct of your day in a way that you can continue to uphold and support it. Now, every once in a while, people get sick, our car breaks down, we host a dinner party, whatever. And shifting things for a one-off isn't indicative of what I would call like regular time. Shifting things for a one-off happens, that's just part of life. But if you're having to shift things all the time, then something is wrong with the workflow. As this pertains to my personal creative work life, there are a set of work-related tasks that I have to do in an ongoing way every day and every week. These would include the platforms that already exist. So like Instagram and TikTok. I publish a blog post every week. I send a newsletter every week. I publish a vlog every week. So those things existed before I started anything new. And I had to figure out a way to come up with the tasks associated with each of those. Like for a blog post, for example, I come up with the idea, I execute it and photograph it. I write the copy gets edited. I edit the photographs. I upload everything into the platform, kind of the back end stuff, and, push the buttons to make it look right on the website. And then I publish it. Well, that's a lot of steps for a blog post, but I figured out a way to break them up and do them so that every week I can publish a blog post without it upending my life. That's true for all of those platforms that I just mentioned. So Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, the blog, the email. Those are just sort of ongoing work tasks that I do. What I'm now doing is I'm layering on these 3 new phases of creative work. And the first one is already out there, Can You Come Home? So there's a workflow related to Can You Come Home so that every week I can publish a new episode on YouTube and a new blog post on my blog. And it was a lot to figure out in the beginning. There was a little bit of a learning curve. But now that I've got the rhythm of it, I understand how much time is involved in each step. I understand the steps completely, and I have integrated those into my work calendar in a way that nothing is upended. So it's like there was the daily normal stuff that was already existing, these platforms that already existed. I layered on phase 1. Okay, great, we're doing that, it's working. I'm about to layer on phase 2. But when it goes live, there is going to be this more rhythmic routine of things that I have to do either on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis to sustain not only the existing platform, but to continue to produce new work. Because if my work became like the dinner party that you had to host 4 times a week, I couldn't sustain that. If all of a sudden the new work required me to never be able to post on Instagram or never be able to write a blog post or never be able to send my newsletter, that wouldn't work for me. I need to be able to do these things. So part of the challenge of this new work is not just making the work, but making the work and looking at it from a very big picture point of view to ensure that once the existing and phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3, once those are all live in the world and they're all constantly recreating themselves and producing new products on a regular basis, can I, as one person, sustain the work? I looked at and answered and analyzed this question way back, like November, December, once I started thinking these ideas. The first thing I did was to try and project what this work would require and make an educated guess on how many hours and what the steps would be, and to look at it like once everything is live, can I sustain the work? So when I looked at it and I made my educated guess on whether or not I could sustain this, the answer was yes. It is a lot of work. It is a 40 to 50 hour a week job to maintain all of it once it's going. But the more I do it, the better I get at it. And that is how I was able to look at what I wanted to do and assess whether or not it was reasonable and sustainable. The same thing applies to anything in our life. You have to ask yourself, can I integrate this into my life in a way that's sustainable, or is this a one-off? And if it's a one-off, one-offs are beautiful. We need one-offs in our life. But if you're talking about integrating something into the regular routine of your life, it needs to be sustainable or you're going to be gasping for air. So I kind of think of this as like the scuba mask approach versus the hold your breath and see how far you can swim before you're sputtering for breath. And I want the scuba mask. I don't want to sputter for breath. That's my spiel about workflows and how I think of big projects and integrating them into my everyday life. And now I have a pie in the oven. My daughter just went to go pick up In-N-Out. I'm going to put all this work stuff away. I'm going to sail into the weekend and come back next week for more. This has been a great week. Thanks for walking in heels with me, and thanks for being here. Thanks for watching. Thanks for having fun with me. Thanks for your feedback. I love hearing from you about the vlog. It's really fun to see the community growing, and I hope you have a lovely weekend. Fresh, hot strawberry rhubarb pie. Look at that bubbling fruit action. Do you want me to save you a piece? It's really so good.